Hey, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. It's Laura here. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below so we can be YouTube friends. I am a twin flame coach, twin flame guide, twin flame reader, and twin flame astrologer. And we are going to break down a very significant transit happening today between Venus and a sextile to Jupiter. We still have Venus sitting in Virgo, and so Venus is actually a little bit uncomfortable in the sign of Virgo because love and analysis really don't go hand in hand, but we've got this beautiful sextile happening today with Venus and Jupiter, okay? And so Jupiter is all about expansion, and in the sign of Cancer, I do feel we've got a very emotionally raw purification cycle being activated for the Divine Feminine Collective. We have had quite a bit of Venus activations in the astrology recently. If we go back to last Friday, we had Venus in the conjunction to the South Node and in an opposition to the North Node. And so that was a significant clearing. We also had Venus in a sextile to Lilith during the full moon in Aries. And so we're in this process, I feel, of this emotional expansion through sacred refinement in the energies, right? And so the Empress is very prominent, connected to Venus, but I also feel a hermity quality connected to the Divine Feminine right now. And then we do have the Cancerian archetype, which is ruled by the moon. And I do feel a King of Wands energy coming through with the Jupiter energy. And so this really does feel like a heart expansion moment after a lot of raw emotion purification. And I do feel this is a cycle for the Divine Feminine being activated in these energies today. And so sextiles create the opportunity for growth, but we have to take conscious participation in the energy of growth. And so with Venus and Virgo, I do feel there's like this new awareness being activated. We have Venus sitting there in the 12th house. We see the 12th house also sitting in Virgo at 21 degrees 42, which is the archetype of the world with the Two of Cups. And so we're completing these cycles connected to codependencies and love. We are preparing for divine union. And so the path to union will always begin from devotion to self-love, devotion to our spiritual practice, devotion to our spiritual purpose. And so oftentimes, I want to say, the Divine Feminine loses herself in the process of service. And we often at times can seek perfection. Virgo seeks perfection instead of being present. And we do need to be fully present in these energies right now. And so the Jupiter in Cancer, I feel, is a reminder for the feminine that growth happens when we nurture our path, when we feel safe, and when we are rooted in emotional honesty. And so there's a bridge happening here between the sacred Divine Feminine and this emotional heart wisdom that we're being asked to ground in as healers, guides, and intuitives. And so this sextile today really feels like a call for the Divine Feminine to really soften into learning how to receive instead of constantly giving or constantly over efforting is what this feels like. And with that being in the 12th house, this is unearthing deep subconscious patterns connected to overanalyzing, overthinking, over perfectionism, right? And so we do see Jupiter sitting here in, oh my goodness, in the 10th house. And so there's something here connected to the Divine Feminine's public purpose, like the public purpose of the feminine. And I feel there is an opening with this transit for that divine union from within. So we have to feel supported first by our inner masculine energy, which is that King of Wands archetype, before the actual masculine energy external to us can step into that emotional maturity and that leadership through the empathy of the journey. And so right now I feel there's a lot of egoic energy surrounding the masculine collective, and the feminine has to go deep into this emotional depth and then reflect that readiness onto the divine masculine. And so if we look back to October 3rd, when we had Venus conjunct the South Node, it did bring up a major karmic clearing. And that was very evident in the cards that have been coming out recently. And I do feel the need to release this feeling like we have to earn love in relationships, okay? And so we have to go through facing all of these mirrored reflections on the journey. We have to look at where we overgive in relationships, where we try to fix people, because that creates codependencies, and where we overanalyze rather than being able to receive. And so we're at this major point of release, especially going through the Aries full moon, because that's when we had Venus sextile Lilith. And so there was an awakening, I want to say, of sacred rage. And this sacred rage is how we reclaim our power. And we don't reclaim our power until we go into the sacred anger, into the sacred rage, and it's raw. To go into that sacred rage is very raw, because we have to unearth everything that we have suppressed on the journey, right? And so the full moon amplifies this raw emotional truth. And I feel all of these hidden parts of the divine feminine are coming back up, where maybe we didn't feel accepted or we didn't feel safe within connections growing up. And so now with Venus in a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer, I do feel, looking at this is a time where the feminine is being asked to open up her heart to self-honor rather than self-sacrifice, okay? And so Jupiter is really going to amplify this emotional energy, and we have to give ourselves permission to receive. It requires trust, though, and it requires surrender, and we have to feel worthy of receiving. We have to feel worthy of love, and we have to feel worthy of our own heart's compassion towards ourselves. And so we also have another Venus aspect coming up here on the 11th, and it's going to be between Venus and Saturn in an opposition. And so we're in this energy of a karmic test right now, just before Venus enters into Libra on Monday on the 13th next week. And so Saturn is kind of asking us to dissolve these illusions, and we have to release the fantasy and the over-idealization around this relationship and the counterpart, and we are being tested, right? And so it feels like contractions, and so we go through labor pains and contractions right before we give birth to crystallizing the lesson, is how this kind of feels for me. And so the lesson of unconditional love does not mean abandoning the self for another. And so with these sequence of Venus activations, we're kind of reshaping the energetic template right now for the divine feminine to hone in on that magnetism in order for the divine masculine to respond to that. And so our vulnerability is our superpower. Our emotions and harnessing the power of our emotions, that is our superpower. And so we have to be rooted deeply in love. And to be rooted deeply in love, we have to be rooted deeply in authenticity. And so there is, I feel, something coming forward connected to that deeper truth with the counterpart, with all of these Venus activations right now. And I feel with that very prominent King of Wands energy, because we have Venus at a King of Wands archetype degree, the masculine is being initiated as well as the feminine. And this is an initiation for the masculine connected to emotional transparency, right? Because of the moon archetype, and stepping into that intuitive leadership with the divine feminine. And so the masculines are being guided to meet the feminine where she truly is at, not where her mind is projecting the masculine of where she wants the masculine to be. And so we're in this beautiful portal of energies this week of emotional expansion coming into that heart alignment. And this will ripple through the connection as you get grounded, right? Because the twin flame journey is not romantic at all. It is a journey of evolution. It is a journey of sacred partnership. And so when we allow ourselves to feel open, our heart to feel open, we know we've done the clearing. And so we have to be able to receive the blessing. We have to feel deserving of the blessing. And so we kind of have to meet truth with compassion is what this is asking us to do, because divine union begins when we come into that sacred harmony within, with our inner masculine and our inner feminine. So let's go a little bit deeper with some cards today. Let's see what the cards have to say. If you are curious about going deeper with astrology, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to astrology, I just launched my astrology mentorship membership program. There is still time to get in and join the first live lesson today at noon Eastern Standard Time. There will be a link below to join the membership through the webpage. Make sure you join in time, because I will be sending out the Google Meet links by 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for you to join in on the live this week. It's going to be a beautiful sacred space for all of us to grow and learn together. We're going to start with the basics and we're going to build upon that foundation. And as we go further into the membership, we are going to be able to apply all of these transits in our day-to-day life. So get ready, get set, let's go, join the membership. Let's dig in with some cards and let's see what the cards have to say today. All right, let's talk about these cards. The first card out today is the Solar Flares card. I do feel tempers are still kind of flaring because we're still kind of clearing that full moon in Aries energy. And so it feels hot. It feels like the heat is on and there's a need to balance all of this fiery energy with, I feel, an element of air. And I know we're talking about Venus and Cancer in a sextile today, but I do feel there's an opportunity for healing with the Solar Flares card. This is connected to Key 17 in the tarot, which is the energy of the Star card. And the Star does come immediately after the Tower falls in the major arcana. And so what I'm feeling with the Solar Flares card is a major activation point. And like I talked about, we are in a divine feminine activation portal, and there's a lot surfacing right now, I feel, so we can get to the root cause of these negative repetitive patterns and get ready for a little bit of an opposition. We do see the opposition card. This feels like two people going head to head, and so be mindful of your words right now. I feel oppositions, challenges kind of create that opportunity to respond with compassion, to respond rather than to react. And oftentimes we can feel like we're being punished on the journey when we face challenge after challenge. But challenges are not punishment. They're just an opportunity for growth and for expansion. And so there is like a Knight of Swords quality there. And so you might have somebody coming at you hot and heavy trying to create a confrontation or opposition here. But this is just opening up an opportunity for growth and expansion, right? Because it's all about the opportunities. And then we went right into the 5th house, which is the card of passion. This is the house of creativity. I feel a 3 of Cups undertone, but I feel like a celebration here. The feminine is blooming through all of this clearing, through all of these challenges. And I just want to say, like, Let your inner child come out and play. Get creative, create, love, inspire. We are here to bring out that vibrancy of the inner child. So let your light shine. Allow your light to shine, feminine, because there is still things shifting below the surface. And so I always feel like eclipse energy with this card. And so the moon actually is key 18, but we see a 19 on the card. And so we are still dissolving old ego constructs in these energies, old ego identities. And so eclipse energies can take up to 6 months to play out. And so if you look back to 6 months ago when we had the new moon eclipse in Aries, we just cleared those new moon energies with that full moon, that super full moon in Aries 2 days ago. And so we also just went through the eclipse portals between the full moon in Pisces eclipse and then the new moon in Virgo eclipse. And so we are still in an eclipse clearing portal for the next 6 months connected to that new moon in Virgo. And so there is still a lot, I feel, unraveling, and it does feel like a deep dive into the fall energy, the descendant. And so, yes, we are here to transcend and ascend, but the real work is in the descent. It's going deep into the shadows and integrating that shadow energy. And I do feel a King of Cups energy kind of coming through. And so we're kind of deep diving is what it feels like. They're showing me the Seven of Cups. And so the disillusionment process is the descent into the disillusionment of all of the options, the confusion, the illusions. And I just feel there's a lot kind of still not super clear when it comes to these connections in these energies. So let's talk about the tarot cards. The top row, we did get the 7 of Wands upright, key 33 in the tarot, the teacher of the teacher's card. And we did get the 10 of Wands in reversed beside it. And so very interesting because the last 2 cards out came out as a pair with the 3 of Wands in reverse. And I feel manifestation. The wait is kind of over. And so this is asking us to expand the heart, to open up the heart. We do see the card is ruled by Leo. We do get the masculine energy. And so right now the feminine, I feel, is asking to harness that inner masculine to break down the barriers around the heart from being able to receive the masculine in the physical form. And I do feel the feminine really is stepping into a very prominent teaching role within the spiritual community, but there is a need to kind of lay it down. It's the releasing of the burden, right? Because a lot of the feminines carry the weight of this connection. It feels like for years, sometimes even decades. I know I've been on the journey for about 7 years now, since I met the counterpart. And it does feel like a very long and drawn out process. But ultimately, the journey is to awaken the higher heart. It is to awaken the past life memories. And the heart is the gateway receptor of all of our intuitive gifts. And so the Palace of Cups, there is a brand new beginning in love here that I feel the feminine is really opening up the heart to receiving. But at the same time, it does feel like there is blocks in communication or almost like resistance to a face-to-face conversation with the counterpart. But there is love here on the board. The central energy is this Ace of Cups. And so this is big love. And first we have to ground in that love of self, right? And so right now I feel the feminine really is healing. And I do feel kind of pulling back a little bit. So where do you need to get honest with yourself too? Because I feel there's like something hidden here, or a mistruth, or something that's been denied connected to the heart, which is blocking this communication from coming forward. We do see Jupiter and Libra on that card. And so there is heart healing here in all of these Venus activations. And I do feel there's healing connected to the separation, right? The Lovers in reverse, I feel, indicates a separation. But the twins are being asked to hold on to that faith, to give it to God, to surrender it to a higher power, because the universe is kind of in control as something here comes full circle. And so I do feel the feminine is being asked to set those intentions, to pray, to meditate, to go within and receive those intuitive downloads, because there is something coming in here very quickly. I feel within the next 3 days, there could be an opportunity to start a new business project, right? Because we're being asked to get creative here. And so this is like a golden opportunity here. This Ace of Coins is something big. This is something that you can take to the bank. And so over the course of the next year, there is going to be a trickling in of these unions. I feel 3 days to 3 months. There's something big coming in. So plant those seeds. Any ideas coming in, get those ideas jotted down, because there's a big opportunity to build and grow abundance here. But behind the scenes, what's going on behind the scenes is a lot of healing, I feel, from that lack of self-worth. Because we did get the Empress in reverse to the King of Wands reverse, the Four of Wands reverse. There's that separation energy. The Three of Swords to the Nine of Cups. And so there's still grief at play here, connected to what feels like the loss of wish fulfillment. And I feel the feminine really needs to look at her worth and her value, because I feel there's still a clearing of codependency issues here. And I do feel this is the feminine needing to honor the inner masculine, almost like there's a lack of drive, a lack of motivation, a lack of creative inspiration here, because there is some more heart healing to do here. That's really what this is telling me. And so if something didn't work out the way you had planned, it wasn't meant to work out like that. And the divine is always going to have a better plan for your life. And so there is still an opportunity here. There is still an opportunity here to bring this connection into grounded spiritual union. This is a life partnership. And like I said, it's more than just romance. It is about mission work, but there is still an opportunity here for union. And there is like the rewriting of the karma, the rewiring of the karma. And so anything that was not right, that was not just, it is being rebalanced out by the universe right now. And there is a very hard awakening here. There is unexpected change. It feels like resistance to the new cycle, but there is this energy too, I want to say, of something coming back from the dead. So if you thought it was dead and gone, if you thought it was over, there's a revival here, especially with this time to go card that came out in reverse for the closing message. And so when I look at this card, I just feel like when it's upright, it's like it's time to leave a situation behind. And I just keep hearing it's not over yet. It's not over yet. And so there is a cycle completing here, but I feel it's time to go back. It's time to go back. There's still something here. There's still more here that needs to be learned, that needs to be integrated. There's still more to this experience, I think, that meets the eye, because there is a new life just around the corner here. There is a rebirth. There is a restructuring. There is this beautiful, I want to say, Knight of Cups energy. There is a love offer coming. So take the leap of faith. Don't be afraid, because there is no place like home. And the counterpart is that place of home, not in the sense of familiarity, but in the sense of this is where your soul belongs. And so keep being that lighthouse, divine feminine. Keep shining that light. Keep working on those building blocks for that solid foundation for self, because there is a crossroads energy here. And I feel the masculine is learning to ground in peace before taking that action. And so we're kind of just being asked to breathe it out. There are still some towers here that need to fall. There is still completion here that needs to come full circle before the twins can come together. But the new life is right there. We just can't grasp it yet because it's below the surface. So that is what I have for a message today. If you would like to go further with me with coaching or a reading, check out the description box below. There you will find a link to the webpage. And don't forget to check out the astrology membership. Like I said, there's still time to join in on the first lesson today. And this will be a lifetime membership. You can log into that membership and go access. If you missed a live, you can go back in or rewatch it. It will be uploaded to the membership section on the webpage. Also, if you just are curious about learning a little bit more about your birth chart and you like a free guide, I do have a free guide published. Comment down below free guide and I will send you the link to download that free guide to the basics of your birth chart. Have a great day, everybody. I will see you all again next time.